Hello there guys, this is Christy Lewis for Dostoevsky in Space. Today I have a very exciting themed vlog coming at you, and this vlog is going to be reading like Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia. So I collaborated with Tiffany to figure out books that she would recommend that I read. So in my past vlogs, I didn't collaborate with people like in real time while I was vlogging. I just I picked up books that they had recommended that I really liked the sound of, or things that they had specifically recommended to me. And that was working out great. But Tiffany suggested for ours that we could be talking while I vlog. So I'm excited to do that. It's like a buddy reading vlog. So the books that I'm going to aim to finish this week are, or at least get significantly into, are Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, which is one of Brandon Sanderson's secret projects, which Tiffany read earlier this year and just adored. So excited for that. Sounds fun. I also want to read Princess Bari by Hwang Sok-young, which is another one that Tiffany read earlier this year. This is a book about Korea. I think it's a family leaving North Korea, and there's like fairy tale elements. So it sounds like really sad and heartbreaking, but also magical in some way. I don't know. We'll have to see it. I don't know about the mix, but I love Hwang Sok-young because he wrote Familiar Things, which was incredible. Such an incredible book. So, and the other thing I want to read that Tiffany recommended really highly to me, she was like, you need to read this, was Breaking Bread with the Dead, which it's like a nonfiction about reading classics. A Reader's Guide to a More Tranquil Mind. Yeah, and by the author of How to Think. Interesting. Alan Jacobs. So excited to check these out. And I might be meeting with Tiffany tonight so we can watch a K-drama. We were supposed to discuss Attack on Titan Volume 5. However, I did not finish it, and neither did she. So yes, and because I'm trying to alternate with nonfiction, I don't know if I will get to that this week. But I'm also reading the Melendi Quartet with her and her daughter, Claire. Why did I forget that for a second? So we're buddy reading, I think, the second book, and we're going to discuss it at the end of the month. So I'm actually finishing up the first book right now because I didn't quite finish it before our Patreon meeting last month. So those are the things that are on the menu for this vlog. I hope you'll stick around and check it out. Hey guys, it's just a little bit later on Monday, and I just wanted to say I've been listening to Breaking Bread with the Dead, and so I'm 16% through it. And some of the stuff he's saying, I'm just like, yeah! He's talking about how important it is for the younger generations to sometimes step out of the now and see what people used to think was really important and used to enjoy, and just to like learn about, I'm doing physical therapy, that's what the noise is. I have to pick up marbles with my toes. I don't remember if I've explained this to you before, but I do it 3 times a day. Anyways, yeah, he's talking about like how the younger generations have been raised on things that were always targeted towards their generation and need to have an appreciation for other weird things like older music and older movies and older books. And he's like, this is a really hard sell. Only like 2% of the population will have any interest in doing this, who regularly do it. And even with them, sometimes it's a hard sell. So it's interesting. I'm still getting to the point of why he believes this, why it's like important. But one of the things he talks about that's important is because we are so social media, we're on social media so much. The now seems constantly very important when you're on social media. And so you have to like disconnect from that sometimes. Give yourself a breather. And he talks, I think he's going to be talking about reading from the past as a way to do that. And then he said, when you come back to the now, the present, the things that seem really important to us, you'll have some perspective on them. And I definitely think that's true. This is so interesting because I basically said this in a TikTok, and Dia and Tiffany were talking about that. when Tiffany was recommending this to me, Dia was like, oh yeah, Christy did like a TikTok on that. So it was interesting. It's definitely something that I think I agree with, but I have to get further into it to tell more. I just want to say though that the narrator of the audiobook sounds like AI. Like he's terrible. And the Washed and Waiting, I just finished the end of it as well, an audiobook, and narrator was not good. Man, a narrator who is not good can just ruin it, or who that I don't vibe with anyways. But anyways, I am liking the point of Breaking Bread with the Dead. So I was gonna try to start the Brandon Sanderson novel, but I only have it on Libby. It's not available on Kindle, which is a hardship for me because I need to be using Libby for the audiobook so that I can read along with it. So I basically will have to have 2 devices with me everywhere when I want to read. But we'll see how I do with that. I should say the subtitle of Breaking Bread with the Dead is A Reader's Guide to a More Tranquil Mind. So that's really what it's about, developing a more tranquil mind. So he talks about presentism as something that the younger generations in particular are suffering from. So hang on, let me just play this for you.
So when you sum together these presentist forces, information overload, social acceleration, pervasive algorithmic marketing, a historical awareness that celebrates progress and escape, it is difficult to push back against them.
So those are the forces that he's talking about. Okay, something interesting was just said in Breaking Bread with the Dead. He talks about how a symptom of this problem that we have of not being able to go back into the past because we think it's all completely evil, and we're afraid that if we spend any time thinking about or with the past, that it will rub off on us, you know, which is something that you see on both sides of the political divide. And also, every person who is any kind of extremist, they will be afraid of even listening to the perspective of somebody else, lest it rub off on them and they become less pure or something. I don't know. But he said a symptom of this is how modern authors have trouble actually portraying views that are different from their own, or views from a different perspective of their own. So he cites one of Stephen Greenblatt's books that sounds like historical fiction. And he says, the characters all sound just like Stephen Greenblatt. It was like, oh my gosh, that's so relatable. There are so many books, like historical fiction and other things, that you read it and you're like, all these characters are the same person or they're the enemy. And everything about them is bad. That is a symptom of the division of our times and the inability to actually talk with each other and see that, yeah, we're not all perfect and our enemies aren't all terrible. If we don't understand the past or people in the past, how can we not repeat it? And also, how are we going to avoid whatever pitfalls we're making right now when we're so mired in presentism that we're not seeing beyond our own very limited perspectives? I mean, there's a reason why in the past there were huge, mistakes made, and we can see them with 2020 vision because we're looking past. But every age still has its blind spots. It's because we don't do very well at, I guess, evaluating our blind spots and trying to reform them. The whole idea behind the title, it seems like, Breaking Bread with the Dead, is being able to have a meal with somebody in their world, even if you know there are things that you disagree with them about. And unless we can do that, we definitely can't interact with the past in any meaningful way, because we'll just start rejecting them the minute they show signs of something that we don't agree with. So basically, he's saying we need to be able to sit with that, to sit with them and meet them where they are. This is so good. So he was just talking about how humans trying to attain a like non-human view of everything will lead to madness, and it just made me think, when we try to be God, it's not gonna work out well. When we act like we know everything, and if everything worked according to how we did it, that's not gonna work out. He also talks about how books are such an enormous advantage for encountering the other, is how he describes it. That's what made me, I've been reading about book bans lately, and I think that's a reason why book bans are so dangerous, is because some of the time, at least, books are being banned, sorry it's windy, because of the ideas in them and not actually because they're not age appropriate from school libraries, you know? And if we are banning all the instances of a certain perspective, then kids aren't going to be able to understand that perspective, especially if that perspective is the perspective of the times for a lot of people. They have to be able to come to grips with that. I'm making some zucchini sausage soup with like tomatoes and onions and Italian seasoning, and I'm super excited. It's really delicious. This should last me all week. Hopefully it's hearty enough that it won't bother my stomach. I was supposed to hang out with Tiffany tonight, but she ended up going for a birthday celebration, and going like book shopping and going to Korean food. So yeah, she was like really tired when she got home. So we're gonna hang out on Thursday instead. So I'm super excited to hear about her adventure. Go wish her a happy birthday, by the way. Hey guys, it's now Wednesday, September 20th. I didn't get a chance to update you yesterday, but I just wanted to show you this yummy meal that I'm eating because I haven't been cooking that much in my vlogs. My foot's just not been doing amazing. So, yeah, so this, I guess it probably doesn't look as appetizing on camera as it does to me, but it is so delicious. So this is the zucchini sausage stew, and it's in a pumpkin. Yes, I eat pumpkins. And so I just bought a pumpkin from the store, and I chopped it in half, and then you put it in the oven with some water so that it gets softened. It gets like steamed in the oven for like an hour, and it's so sweet. You can still taste the natural flavor, and it's just super mild for my stomach. So yeah, and this is the zucchini sausage soup, like I said, and I topped it with pumpkin seeds, but I'm still cooking more in the air fryer. So this is a really typical meal for me. I just thought I would share that with you. And I am 88% through Breaking Bread with the Dead, and I'm really enjoying it. I'll share more thoughts once I'm done with it. And I am 19% through Tress of the Emerald Sea, which I am loving. This is so good, guys. Why did I wait so long to read Tress of the Emerald Sea? I don't know. But Brandon Sanderson is so funny. I'm enjoying this so much. So, and I will be starting, hopefully, Princess Bari soon. After I finish, I think, listening to Breaking Bread with the Dead, I will switch Tress to audio, and then I will start reading Princess Bari physically, hopefully tonight. But I started Attack on Titan 5 this morning while I was just laying in bed, and it's so good. Tiffany and I are going to actually meet tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. We're going to hang out and talk about...
So I like to have a goal, but I don't want to be strapped into that goal.
Hey guys, okay, so I just finished the live stream that I did with Stephanie and Dia and Naomi. My brain is a little bit fried, but I really wanted to update you because I'm at 94% of Breaking Bread with the Dead, so I have about five minutes left in the end chapter, and I think the rest must be end notes. So I finished the book, I'm just listening to like the conclusion. So yeah, I just wanted to share some thoughts. So it was really short, which I liked, And I really liked kind of the terms that he built on throughout the book. Like, he uses the term, what was it? Personal density? Yeah. I was like, was that it? Sorry, fried. But that's from Gravity's Rainbow, which I think is a Thomas Pynchon book. And it talks about how the idea of personal density was a little bit complicated for me to kind of capture on audio, but I like the idea of it. It's the idea of being able to kind of, I guess, be more than just in the present and the now, and being able to encounter the other. Because he talks about how, like, in our modern age, we just get bowled over by the news feed every couple of seconds if we're on social media. We don't even remember the last outrage because all we can focus on is, like, today's outrage. And that immediacy is something that you can step out of when you encounter otherness of the past, because it is so different. I don't know how convincing he is, really. I don't know. He said it would be a tough sell, and I'm somebody who likes reading things of the past. I just don't know that his arguments were, like, super effective for me, but it was enjoyable. I really enjoyed listening to it. And like I said, he had a way of kind of coining handy phrases, like personal density. If I'd had a physical, it was my fault for not getting a physical copy of this. I don't know why I didn't. I usually do when I'm reading nonfiction, but I didn't have any holds on it or anything, so I didn't have a physical copy of it. Dumb of me. But there was a couple other points, though, that he did make that I really liked. Like, he talked about how when we are reading a classic and we run across something that is, like, repulsive, like racism in a classic, he talks about how that feeling of revulsion, it stems from the feeling that a result of defilement, a fear of defilement. And he said that's not likely to happen. He said, the age that we're living in, it's a lot easier to not be like they were in the past, I guess. We have more information at our disposal. And so he's like, you don't really need to worry about defilement. It's important for you to, I guess, learn how to make, what did he call it? Oddkin? I don't know. Some of the phrases he used, I didn't quite understand what he was referencing. So, yeah. I don't think he did a bad job explaining it. I think on audiobook, it was just a little bit hard for me to follow. So, my fault for not picking up the physical copy. But I thought that was a really good point, that often our revulsion for things that we'll read in classics is a fear of defilement. But I see this so much on the other side. Like, it's something I experienced, being really sheltered growing up, and then encountering things that were different for the first time when I was a teenager in books, and I was finally reading books that weren't, like, Focus on the Family published books. I don't think they actually publish books, but I'm just, you know what I mean? So that was something I really had to contend with, because I didn't grow up with perspectives that were any different than my own or my parents', really. But he also talks about generous thinking and how it's important to develop generous thinking towards people. He said it's easier with people who are already dead, but he said there's another book that he referenced that he said in academia, it's really important for us to develop generous thinking with each other. So I really appreciated that, because definitely generosity is not wishing for somebody to get what they deserve, exactly what they deserve. Generosity would be maybe hoping for change and seeing what's good about them, and not hoping that they get a terrible moment of a fall, as a result of their incorrect beliefs. So I thought that was really astute of him. I think something else that really bugged me was he talked about how he thinks, in a couple of centuries, everybody's gonna be vegetarian, and he's gonna be like, that's something that our forebears our ancestors are gonna look back on us. Our descendants are gonna look back on us and be like, why the heck did they eat meat? That's so terrible. And I was just like, I mean, if you have autoimmune diseases, if you are chronically ill, it's kind of ableist to be like, you should stop eating meat. I don't have a choice. I've tried going vegan because I heard that it could help, and it made everything worse. So, I don't know. For all of the people who seem to like pride themselves on thinking about everybody and being like very open-minded and stuff, those are the people that tend to step on my toes the worst. They just don't understand where I'm coming from as a disabled person. But regardless, that was a personal pet peeve, and I think I would rate this book like 3 stars, and maybe if I read it physically it would be more than that, because like I said, I enjoyed it all the way through. I'm just having trouble really expressing what it was about without actually physically picking at it and taking notes. But I did enjoy it, so I can see, I think, why Tiffany recommended it to me, because I feel like it is a very, like, it tries to be objective in a time when objectivity and generous thinking are not the norm. More like outrage is the norm, and he was not coming at this with a sense of outrage as he was writing this book. Whoever he was writing to, he was trying to think of all of us and appeal to all of us, not just... There was some really good parts in here where he talked about, for example, what's that play where the wife like leaves her family and it's supposed to be like a big liberation play? Nora, I don't know. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? There's a play that's really famous because the wife like basically says, in order to not have my personal freedom hampered, I need to leave my family and my children and my husband and just go, because it's like a cage. My marriage is like a cage. And he talks about how actually when there was a response play, like a sequel type play written in the modern age, it was more nuanced, because you see, oh yeah, the wife is very happy that she left her family still, but then the daughter who experienced her mother leaving is like, I am not for all this personal freedom nonsense that you subjected your family to. That's the opposite of what I want for our kids. So she was like all for marriage, that her daughter was all for marriage. And so he was talking about how like, but that's the kind of thinking that we need in our modern age. We need to be able to appreciate other perspectives, I would say. You can still believe that they're wrong, but you need to be able to have a conversation and understand where other people are coming from. So, yeah, I really did enjoy aspects of it, I would say. And I am just adoring Tress. I love the illustrations so much. So I'm like 20% into Tress of the Emerald Sea, and it's so funny and it's so imaginative. I think it's probably going to end up being too long for me, but I'm enjoying every word so far, so I'm not minding the length at all, and I think it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited about it. And the voice of the narrator, I don't want to spoil who the narrator of the story is, but his voice is very strong and fun and funny, and you will know who he is if you have read other Cosmere books. So, yeah, I'm loving Tress. It's exactly what I want and need at the moment. And I forgot to mention, I wanted to mention something that we didn't get to talk about in the live stream today because it was so worthwhile, which is basically everybody who was at the Fast Readers live stream, there are people who prioritize reading over other hobbies. So if you prioritize, reading, then you will choose that when you have options. So like in my case, I have a lot of hobbies. So if I don't prioritize reading, I'm not going to read as much. And the more that you give yourself a chance to read, your reading will grow exponentially. So if reading is your main hobby, you'll be able to get a lot more reading in than if reading and tennis and learning languages and video games are all your hobbies, but you also have to work and you have kids, So I thought that was a really good point. that we didn't actually manage to get to. You have to choose reading if you want to end up reading more. So anyways, it was such a great discussion. And thank you all for joining us, because it was so worthwhile, and I loved hearing all of your comments in the comment section. I just remembered, I was talking about how I feel like people who are really sheltered tend to really struggle with the idea of pushing through a perspective that they really disagree with, and they do feel like fear of that sense of defilement if there's something that they really disagree with. But I think it's really important to push past that so that you can hear the other person and learn to kind of sit with that discomfort, because everybody has to learn how to do that in a pluralistic society, a globalized society. We have to learn to be around things that we don't necessarily agree with. I think that's a skill that we all have to develop, and that's people from all stripes have to learn how to deal with that. Otherwise, we'll never be able to talk to each other. We will never be able to get along. We won't have real conversations. It's a really important skill in today's world, and it's definitely one that we as a culture need to work on. Ugh. As typical, the most insensitive, heartless, and nonsensical character is like the head of a church or a member of a church. Why is that always the case in fiction? Modern fiction, anyway. Hey guys, it is now, whoops, what is it, Thursday the 21st? So I just hung out with Tiffany for a bit. I was laying down. We were both not feeling good. We're both having flary days. So I didn't end up, I was gonna vlog with you guys and her, but it just, and I'm also cutting my head off now. But we were just both not feeling good. So I need to get going making dinner, and I think I'm gonna go to Kate's reading sprints that she does every week for her Patreon, and hopefully get some reading in. I need to also work, but maybe I'll do that after reading sprints if it's not too late. I can always work tomorrow though. I almost worked too much this month. My boss was like, Christy, you need to slow down. I worked like 48, I think, hours last month. And he's like, by the end of the week, you can only do like 3 more hours. So I'm doing great on work, so I'm not super worried about that. But I'm hoping that soon he'll just be like, we should just increase your hours. You're becoming more useful. We'll see. Hey, it is now Friday. I don't even remember the date. Is it like the 22nd? We still have like not 10 days, I think, until October or something. So something like that. Maybe it's the 21st then. Anyways, we are heading to our favorite Super Burger, but it's a different branch because they're doing soft serve cones. So we have to try their soft serve cones. So excited. And PT was really encouraging today. So we've been having to make some tough decisions with my health lately, but it's also an exciting time because we're seeing a lot of growth, but it's just scary because things go wrong when you're pushing, you know? So if you guys could pray for us to make really wise decisions and have discernment as we move forward, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for all of your prayers for me. They mean so much to us. And also just to tell you, I am still loving Tress. I have found that I don't enjoy it as much on audiobook unless I'm reading it physically the same day. So I'm needing to read it physically for the time being. I started the Hwang Sok-young book, Princess Bari, but I think I really don't like fiction about North Korea. This is something I've noticed before. I think I just like nonfiction about North Korea or memoirs about North Korea, but fiction is a little bit too bleak for me. So, but I'm gonna try it anyways because I still love Hwang Sok-young. But for the moment, I'm focusing on Tress because I love it. Tress is so good, guys. It's so good. So I don't think I've even really described what Tress is about. So Tress of the Emerald Sea is about a girl called Tress because of her golden tresses, which are unusual. Nobody else around her has blonde hair, kind of brown hair. So on a very isolated island where they are surrounded by a sea of what are called spores. And spores are it's kind of like plant spores, except when they come into contact with any sort of moisture, they will sprout, like they'll explode into like plants. So if it comes into contact with moisture, human moisture, it will like sprout through your body and kill you, like come out your eyes and stuff like that. It's kind of gross. But as we know, Brandon Sanderson loves interesting ways to kill people. So basically she's trapped on this island because she's not allowed to leave, but ships can like travel on this ocean. And when her boyfriend has to leave her, it's like a Princess Bride retelling kind of a thing. Her boyfriend has to leave her true love, and she decides she has to go find him. And so of course that means she's gonna have to leave the island secretly on a ship somehow. So it's kind of like her adventure so far, doing all of that. And the humor is just, some of it doesn't really hit, but like I would say probably 75% of the humor really hits for me. It's definitely like the right kind of humor for me. And I'm so glad that Tiffany loved it so much, because she was the one who convinced me, okay, I need to read it. She loves it, you know? So it's definitely coming at the right time for me, because I'm spending a lot of time studying Korean. And after studying Korean, it's like beating up my brain. I really need something to relax with, and Tress is just exactly that. So, and I did finish Breaking Bread with the Dead, and the last couple chapters were really, really good. So, yeah, I would recommend that. I do want to try to get a physical copy and see if I can sort of review it. It's still at like a 3-star kind of a thing for me, like a 70%. But I think it would be higher probably if I read it physically, which I think Tiffany read it physically. So that would make sense why she liked it more, because it's probably better if you can follow the concepts a little better. Not that it was bad on audiobook, but it just wasn't really convincing on audiobook the way I think it would be if you were reading it. So that's how the reading is going so far. It's like an open air seating place. It's kind of fun. It's like a patio, but it's covered. Kev got his. I didn't get it before he started eating though. Thank you. Wonderful. Yeah, I will. I like the frosting. The dip. Okay, so the ice cream cone, like the ice cream wasn't really like soft serve. It was weird. It was like too grainy, like almost like it wasn't creamy ice cream. It was like, Kevin said it reminded him of homemade ice cream. It was like too icy. So that was kind of unpleasant. The dipping sauce was yummy. The birthday cake, it was like a frosting is what it tasted like. So I really liked that, and I really loved the cone. It was really good. But I honestly just threw out most of the ice cream because I just didn't want to eat it. And they forgot the cheese on my chili cheeseburger. So this is why we go to our branch normally, because our branch is the best branch. But they did give me the dipping sauces, and I didn't even get fries. So that's points to them. They make this really delicious ranch and barbecue dipping sauces. So I always take some home, and then throughout the week I have like yummy dipping sauces to go with my homemade potato fries, which I make multiple times a week now ever since getting my air fryer. Hey, it's squash season. I love winter squash. I got a pretty multicolored one and a pumpkin because I had pumpkin last week and it was so good I needed another one. I mean, look at this pretty squash, guys. I don't know what this is, but I think I'm in love. There's a whole party of quails. I don't know what they're eating, but they found something clearly. I could just watch them all day. There's another one that's like close. Kevin and his parents just did the last coat on our deck, so I can't wait to show you guys when it's done. It's so pretty. Hey there guys, it is now Saturday, September 23rd. So I'm really enjoying Tress still. However, I have a confession. I have finished 2 manga in a middle grade, all in a row. So I really need to read some nonfiction, and I actually texted Tiffany today. I was like, is there any nonfiction that you would recommend to me other than Breaking Bread with the Dead, because I already read that one? And because I'm reading now a nonfiction for every fiction that I'm reading. So, considering I've just finished 3 fictions, I don't know if I should count manga as fictions. Maybe I should count manga as like its own separate thing, because I don't know. But I feel like then I don't know. I need to be able to read things to relax sometimes. So I finished The Saturdays by Elizabeth Enright, which was actually a middle grade that we were reading for Tiffany's Patreon. And I just finished it last night. It was so cute. I just love it so much. The Melindy series, and I was so happy when Tiffany and her daughter loved it as well. So I finished that in addition to Attack on Titan Volume 5 and The Apothecary Diaries Volume 7. And those were all things that I was reading to relax at night. And so they just happened boom, 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 boom. So I didn't have a chance to like work on any nonfiction to kind of build that up. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck because Tress is the only other book that I was reading for like Tiffany's recommendations. I do have other things though that I just brought out a pile of books to show you how influenced I am by Tiffany, or at least how much we buddy read. I don't buddy read a lot with people because I'm honestly I'm a terrible buddy reader. I do not keep up with people very well. I will go for weeks without checking my messages because I know that if I check them and leave them on read, I will forget about them unless I respond right away. But it takes me a long time to respond because I just try to put a lot of thought into my responses. So all that to say, Tiffany is like the only person who has taken all the abuse that I can give to buddy readers. And we tend to read, the way we buddy read is one of us sees something that the other person is reading and we're like, I want to read that. And so we like read it after each other a lot of times. So she, just as an example, is trying to get Kuma 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 Bear for her library. And she told me about it. And I was like, I have to try that. It sounds so cute. It's a manga series that one of her subscribers recommended to her. So I got it before she did because our library had it and hers didn't. So she's hoping that her library... Dear! Okay, they're coming through. They're coming through. You gotta see this. Okay, sorry. We haven't had a stop from the deer. Little baby deer. The babies are growing up though. They're not really babies anymore. Okay, sorry. Back to books. So Tiffany is waiting and hoping that her library, based on her recommendation, will get Kuma 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 Bear. But I ordered it because it sounded so cute and I'm hoping we can buddy read it. We are literally buddy reading 3 manga series together. Spy Family, was Apothecary Diaries, and Attack on Titan. So yeah, you could just say we buddy read a lot. So we are also buddy reading the Melindy Quartet series, and because Tiffany read Thimble Summer by the same author and recommended it to me, I picked that one up as well from the library. And very soon here we're gonna be buddy reading One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich for my book club. So this just goes to show how much we really read together, how much our tastes align. They align so frequently. We have like such similar tastes, guys. There are some differences in our tastes for sure, but I'm really enjoying Tress so much, so much. I feel like it might be a bit long But like, when do I not say that? I always say that. It's too long. But with Brandon Sanderson, the nice thing is, it's not like it's hard to read his writing. So if it's long, at least I know it'll go quicker. I'm just soaking it up. It's been a long time since I've read a Brandon Sanderson, and I'm just enjoying it so much. Thank you, Tiffany, for getting me to pick up Brandon Sanderson again. I forgot how much I loved Brandon Sanderson. It's been a long time. His humor is like right on target for me in this book, and his ideas are usually really interesting. I wouldn't say the ideas of this book are like particularly interesting to me, but like the ideas in Mistborn, like piercing the skin, and people are like hearing, I mean, it is like, I just love the Mistborn series. So, and I will have some exciting news about the Mistborn series in 2024. So you'll be hearing more about that. But for now, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna wrap up this vlog, some of the nonfiction that I'm reading at the moment. And if I can, like I said, blow through 3 of them really quickly, then I will come back and finish up with Tress. Hey there, guys. It's now quite a bit later that I'm finally finishing this vlog. It's Monday, October 2nd. But I just finished Tress last night. So I just had to tell you, I really enjoyed it. I definitely think sea stories, like stories that are set on a ship, are maybe not quite my jam, but because it's Brandon Sanderson, I enjoyed it anyway. I just enjoy everything that he writes, apparently, except for like a very few exceptions. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know how much you love Tiffany in the comments. Just like, I want my comment section to be like a bomb of a love bomb to Tiffany, because we all love Tiffany. So yeah, let me know yeah, any thoughts that you have about books that I mentioned or things that you read because of Tiffany. Yeah, let me know what you read because of Tiffany. That would be fun. Or yeah, anyways, yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.